Discontentment, anger, hate, violence, all this despite living in the wealthiest country in the history of mankind. Someone should tell the 99% that, globally speaking, they're the 1%. They don't understand that what we teach here, E4, enlightenment, empowerment, education, and entrepreneurship, is the answer to all of our problems. Now, I want to show you the latest from the left, and I want you to ask yourself, do these actions build up, do they heal, or do they tear down and destroy? 3 Occupy Oakland protesters this weekend charged with hate crimes after they surrounded and taunted a woman before stealing her wallet. The woman had the nerve to ask the occupiers to kindly not riot in her neighborhood. Oakland police say the occupiers, while assaulting her and stealing her purse, quote, yelled vulgar epithets regarding their perception of her sexual orientation. Oh, wait a minute. What does that mean? You couldn't possibly, that can't be right. Oakland PD. What's up with that, huh? Oakland PD, this is the same police department that labeled this, quote, a mostly peaceful demonstration. So we know something's going on there, or they're getting an awful lot of pressure from on top. Keeping to the progressives, who are the party of love, and they're mostly love women, that narrative. I'm not sure what's keeping them on that narrative, but with the rapes and the sexual assaults and now the hate crimes against women, it's no surprise that Occupy Wall Street is reaching out to, of all places, Iran for support. American professors traveled to Iran recently, just a couple of weeks ago, to engage in anti-capitalist talks at the University of Tehran. Here it is from Press TV in Iran. Watch this.
Down the road from there, in May, the G8 summit will occur in Chicago, and many groups are planning to converge on Chicago with some kind of demonstration.
Experts here say that the Wall Street movement is putting pressure on the politicians to make policy changes in favor of the movement, and in the long run, it can lead to the collapse of the government.
Is that a problem? These were professors from Fordham University, all over. Let me tell you something. These professors, both men and women, their children, their grandchildren, will be ashamed of what they have done. It's happened before, and it will happen again and again and again, because it seems historians and the educated elite can't read their own history books. It's happening again. These professors now have allowed themselves to become propaganda tools at best, while the professors call Iran's down with America and down with the 1% sentiment as a welcome development. Moms and dads of college kids are funding those trips to Iran. Congratulations, America. The very peace-loving, non-political, now very political ruling party that has no interest in ruling at all, the Muslim Brotherhood, has issued another threat against Israel. Listen to this one.
يأتي زمان سوف تقف كل الشعوب العربية تحقيق مطامحها في أن القدس العربية بشرقها وغربها تبقى عاصمة لدولة فلسطين، ويعود اليهود الملاعين من حيث أتوا، وتعود الحقوق الفلسطينية كاملة، يعني حق العودة وحق اللاجئين وتطهير الأرض العربية كاملة من كل دنس صهيوني.
Looks to me like somebody who's like, why are you so stupid? Seems to be bruises on his head. But who knows? So there you are. So far we are 3 for 3. All are destroying women, America, and Israel. Okay? It goes back to this, doesn't it? The radicals, Islamists, communists, and socialists. They'll stand with anybody, as long as it means a destruction to the West. I have more on the anti-Semitism that is plaguing not only our country but the world next hour. But Stephen Lerner is talking again, and we want to talk to you about Stephen Lerner. He's former SEIU official who encouraged people to engage in economic terrorism in the hopes of collapsing the economy. Nobody listened to him, but maybe they'll listen now. He's at it again, advising on such topics as stirring worker unrest, advancing union interests, and helping Occupy protesters. And, of course, the ultimate goal, abolishing capitalism. Watch.
How do we create a mood in the nation where we're occupying our workplaces, where we're shutting down our workplaces, not where we're shutting it down for somebody else, but where workers are sitting in, where workers are shutting down their places of work, and when the police come, when injunctions come, we're all there with them so that we can really deal with part of the reason that the economy is so screwed up, which is what everybody said, which is a few people got all the power.
If one is going to pursue this to its logical conclusion, the only way to have a genuinely democratic society would also be to abolish capitalism in the state.
That's the guy who came up with the 99, by the way. So you have unions there, you have anarchists there, you had communists and socialists there, you have radicals there. Only thing we're missing now is the Islamists. The common thread in all of these stories, they all involve destruction rather than building up. The other common thread is that it's the same people that are behind all of it. Do you know today is the 70th anniversary of the Port Huron Statement? It was written by radical leftist Tom Hayden. He was the president of SDS. The original Port Huron Manifesto complained about the increasing gap between the haves and the have-nots. It also touted communism. It blamed America for all the problems in the world. It sought to nationalize the basic economic institutions, in other words, the banks. They proposed the full disarmament of America. Does this remind you of anything? Of course it does, because it is the same people. That's why it's the same message. See, Tom Hayden is not just some washed-up hippie has-been. He's at the forefront of the progressive politics today. He's on the board of Progressive Democrats of America. He also indoctrinates our youth, teaching several courses on social movements, including, most recently, his Port Huron to Occupy Wall Street lecture. He's presenting this to students. History repeats itself. Okay, so if history repeats itself, you have to ask yourself, what then is next? Well, we showed you the violent union protests from the 1930s. You remember this? And we've also told you about Frances Fox Piven. Explicitly, she said she wanted people rioting in the streets. That's what the Watts riots really were to her. Watts riots in the 1960s, they were her inspiration for this theory. She wants more Watts riots in order to achieve the leftist goal. Now, that was in the 1960s, and the left, this is from the 1930s, this is the 1960s, and then there was 1968. And a call is going out now to recreate 68. What are they talking about exactly? Well, this, organized by SDS. Hey, wait a minute, isn't that guy just, yeah, it is. The same radicals of the 1960s and their disciples, the useful idiots, are involved this time around. But they studied for years and years and years to try to figure out what they did wrong. Well, what they did wrong was they had J. Edgar Hoover and they had Martin Luther King. They could use those guys. They were neither. They were neither. Martin Luther King was real, and so was J. Edgar Hoover. Now J. Edgar Hoover is them. They are the government. They have all of the power. And they're pretending to be Martin Luther King. It won't work, guys. It won't work. You can't be both MLK and J. Edgar Hoover. But they're going to try, and you can expect the same results, because this is what happened in Hungary in the 1940s. A quick look at history, and then listening to their own words reveal that we are in for a very rough year and summer. We know the economy will remain weak at best because the government continues to spend and print. We also know leftist radicals are fighting a war against capitalism. You're going to be faced with a choice. Will you be the people of Indiana and Kentucky and Alabama and everywhere else? Or will you be like the far left, who just will tear down and destroy and silence? Be very wary of those people who say, I'm being silenced, as they try to silence others. It may seem like an easy choice between these two, but the left is extremely crafty with their message, disguising true motives with overly jingoistic terminology. And when times get even tougher, and I believe they will, the right path becomes harder to see. Which way we will go depends on which way we are headed now.